Ever find yourself watching a stage production, like completely captivated by how the actors are just like soaring through the air?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, how do they do that?
Right.
Today's deep dive, we're going behind the scenes of these like awe-inspiring moments.
Yeah.
Really going to uncover the world of performance flying directors.
It's a fascinating field.
Yeah.
People see these spectacular results on stage, right?
Yeah.
The actors up there defying gravity, but no one really thinks about the expertise that's making it all happen so seamlessly and safely.
It really is. Like you
Okay.
said, it's this blend of magic, but like physics is involved,
Yeah.
and I can't even imagine the planning.
A lot of planning.
Yeah. So we've gathered a bunch of material for this deep dive, career guides, interviews. We even looked at some AI-generated comparisons.
Uh-huh.
And our mission is to unpack what a performance flying director actually does. Because it's got to be more than just strapping someone into a harness and saying, like, see ya.
It is definitely more nuanced than that. The guide uses this phrase, and it really stuck with me, designing and manipulating people in the air.
Ooh.
Which sounds kind of scary.
It does a little bit.
When you really think about it, it gets at that unique blend of artistry and technical skill.
Right.
These are not just technicians, these are like choreographers of the sky.
Okay. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
So how does that even work? Like, do they actually, like, sketch out flight paths?
Uh-huh.
Like, okay, you're going to swoop down here, do a somersault over the balcony. Like, what does that look like?
It's funny you should say that because it's very much on the right track.
Okay.
It involves this deep understanding of rigging, which is essentially all those systems of ropes and pulleys and harnesses that lift and move the performers.
Uh-huh.
And so they work really closely with the choreographers and directors to design movements that are both visually stunning but also physically achievable,
Right.
within the limits of that rigging system.
Because you've got weight distribution, balance the performer's own capabilities. It's like a giant human-sized physics problem.
Precisely. And speaking of physics, you can't forget the elephant, or rather the acrobat in the room.
Okay.
Safety.
Right.
You're dealing with real people suspended high above the stage.
Yeah.
A single miscalculation could have disastrous consequences.
No pressure, right? Like, it makes you realize it's not just about creating that sense of wonder. It's also ensuring everyone comes back down to earth in one piece.
Absolutely. And the guide really stresses the rigorous safety protocols involved.
Yeah.
Performance flying directors, they need to be on top of the latest technology, the techniques we're talking in, specialized harnesses, sophisticated counterweight systems, even computerized winches to get that precise control of the movement.
It's amazing how technology is transforming even artistic fields like this one.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense because you can't rely solely on intuition when lives are literally hanging in the balance.
Exactly. And that's where the research aspect comes into play. And the guide really emphasizes this. Performance flying directors are constantly researching new equipment, attending conferences, consulting with engineers, just to make sure that their methods are as safe as they are innovative.
So they're not just artists and technicians.
Mhm.
They're safety inspectors, tech enthusiasts. Is there anything these folks don't do?
Well, they probably leave the acting to the professionals.
Okay.
But you're right, it requires a very diverse skill set.
Yeah.
And it's not just about technical know-how. The guide highlights the importance of coordination, a whopping 59%.
Well, I can see why you're talking about coordinating with the director, the choreographer,
Mm-hmm.
the lighting and sound crews, not to mention the performers themselves. It's like orchestrating a very complex, very high-stakes ballet.
A very apt comparison.
Uh,
And then there's the need for on-the-spot problem solving.
oh, yeah.
The guide lists critical thinking at 57% importance.
Oh, wow.
Because, let's face it, live theater,
Right.
things don't always go according to plan.
I can only imagine a costume malfunction at 30 feet in the air. Talk about a wardrobe crisis.
Exactly. So a performance flying director needs to be able to think on their feet, adapt to those unexpected situations, and potentially even modify flight paths mid-performance to ensure safety.
Wow. So they need the nerves of steel of an air traffic controller, but like the creative flair of, well, a flying director.
It's a very specific skill set.
Speaking of which, how does one even become this master of aerial artistry?
Well, it's not as straightforward as getting a pilot's license, that's for sure.
Okay.
But the guide does outline a career progression,
Okay.
starting with those entry-level positions, like assisting.
So fetching carabiners and untangling ropes.
Yeah.
The glamorous life of a flying director in training.
You might have to start there.
Okay.
But over time, you gain experience, work your way up to designing rigging setups, eventually leading your own team.
Okay.
There's even a senior performance flying director level.
Ooh, senior level. Does that come with like a special flying helmet or something?
Maybe not a helmet, but definitely a lot more responsibility.
Okay.
At that level, it's not just about your own technical skills, it's about leadership mentorship, passing on your knowledge to that next generation of flying enthusiasts.
So the career path kind of mirrors that of many fields, right?
It
You
does.
start with the basics, hone your skills,
Hmm.
and eventually you're the one guiding others. Though I'd imagine the learning curve in this profession is a bit steeper than, say, accounting.
To say the least. But like any specialized field, it's that combination of passion, dedication, and a willingness to learn from those experienced mentors that helps you truly excel.
And maybe a healthy dose of not minding heights.
Right.
But let's be real, this job isn't for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
It's got to be a specific kind of person who thrives in that high-pressure, high-stakes environment. What do you think?
You are spot on. Let's delve into some of the pros and cons that the guide highlights, because while the idea of like sending people soaring through the air sounds thrilling, there's got to be a downside, right? Besides the whole like don't mess up the physics or someone could get hurt thing.
Right? Besides that small detail, what are we talking about?
Well, the guide doesn't sugarcoat the high risk aspect of it.
Right.
It's physically demanding, not just for the performers, but for the crew as well.
Oh, yeah.
And, the margin for error is slim, to say the least.
And I'm guessing the job market isn't exactly overflowing with make people fly safely specialist openings.
Another very good point.
Yeah.
The guide lists limited job opportunities as a definite con.
Right.
It is a niche field.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that competition for those coveted positions can be fierce.
But on the flip side, imagine the productions you'd get to be a part of. Broadway shows, Cirque du Soleil, maybe even those like epic superhero movies that everyone's obsessed with.
Absolutely. The opportunity to work on those high-profile, visually stunning productions.
Right.
That is a major draw for a lot of performance flying directors.
Yeah.
It's a chance to be part of something truly magical and memorable.
Okay, so maybe you're trading job security for the chance to make like theatrical history.
It's a trade-off.
I don't know. Sounds like a fair trade to me.
Yeah.
But you know what always gets me are like the details that most people wouldn't even think about. Like, did you find any kind of hidden gems in the guide that we're looking at?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Here's one that really jumped out at me. Nestled among the functions and core abilities, right alongside like coordination and critical thinking, evacuate people from heights.
Okay. Now that's a responsibility you don't see on every job description.
Not every job.
Suddenly those team-building trust falls are taking on a whole new meaning.
Exactly. But it really drives home the level of preparedness these professionals maintain.
Right.
It's not just about setting people up.
Right.
It's about having plans in place should anything unexpected occur.
Right. Because a show-stopping performance is great and all, but not if it involves actual, stopping.
Exactly. And here's another detail that speaks to the evolving nature of this field. Computers and electronics knowledge is listed as having a 74% importance rating.
Whoa, high-tech rigging. I knew technology was like infiltrating every industry, but I never really pictured computer screens backstage at a theater production. What's the tech angle there?
It's actually really fascinating. We're talking sophisticated software for designing those flight paths, computerized winches, for that precise movement control, even sensor systems to monitor weight distribution and balance in real time.
So it's like the difference between using a hand-cranked elevator and a state-of-the-art auto-leveling lift.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
And this integration of technology, it really opens up this other discussion about the future of performance flying, which I know we touched on earlier.
Okay, so what does the future hold for performance flying? Are we talking like jetpacks on Broadway?
Well, maybe not jetpacks, but who knows? I mean, the possibilities are really exciting.
Right.
As technology advances, we can expect to see, I think, even more daring and complex aerial feats.
Okay, like what?
Imagine performers interacting with holographic projections while suspended midair.
Wait, hold on. Holographic projections. That's like next level stuff.
Right. It'd be like stepping into a fantasy world where the impossible becomes possible.
Right.
Or imagine this, instead of just watching a performance, you put on like a VR headset and you experience the sensation of flying alongside the actors.
Whoa, okay. Talk about immersive theater.
Right.
I'd be the one like clinging to the virtual trapeze for dear life.
But that's the beauty of it, right? It opens up this whole new realm of creative potential for both the performers and the audience.
Yeah.
And it begs the question, what role would a performance flying director play in those scenarios?
Right, because would they evolve into like virtual choreographers? Designing movements for both like real and digital beings?
Exactly.
That's wild to think about.
It really is. And it speaks to the adaptability of this profession and that forward-thinking nature. They've always been at the forefront of pushing those boundaries, so it's only natural that they would embrace new technologies.
It makes you wonder if that line between physical and virtual performance continues to blur. Will we even need traditional rigging systems anymore?
Now that's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Will the magic of flight become more about algorithms and less about those ropes and pulleys?
Wow.
It's definitely something to ponder.
We've gone from the physics of flight to the philosophy of it.
We have.
We've covered a lot of ground, so to speak, in this deep dive.
We really have. We've explored that unique blend of artistry, technical expertise, and unwavering commitment to safety that defines a performance flying director. And we've even dipped our toes into that exciting and perhaps slightly dizzying future of the field.
So the next time you find yourself, like, captivated by a breathtaking aerial performance, just take a moment to appreciate the unseen hands and minds that make that magic happen. They're the architects of wonder, the guardians of gravity, and the choreographers of some of the most unforgettable moments in theater.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe they're already dreaming up those holographic projections and virtual trapeze acts as we speak. Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive.